Welcome back SQL enthusiasts. I'm Himawant, and in this chapter 2 of Star Agile's exclusive SQL learning series, today we'll be discussing about what is meant by RDBMS and how the data is structured in the RDBMS, complete elaboration about the topic, and also the tools which are required for the installation. We'll look into this. If you are someone looking to master SQL and earn a professional certification, you can go through our DevOps course link which is attached in the description. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. So let's get started with the subject. So now, as I am explaining over here, so we will be using a relational database management system as a mediator between the end user and the storage capacitor to check with what is the data we have in a storage capacitor, right? So now, first we'll understand what is meant by relational database management system, and we can also call it as RDBMS. Okay, so what is meant by RDBMS? Okay, why RDBMS is used? Okay, or first of all, how the data is structured over here when you use RDBMS. So we'll have a little elaboration about what is meant by RDBMS over here. Relational database management system, where in the short form we'll call it as RDBMS. Okay, so now how the data is structured when you use the, so in past case, so there are so many type of different database management systems where they used to use previously, but now what is the database management system which we are using is relational database management system. And why they have been upgrading like this, or now why the relational is used, is the way how the data is structured or how the data is handled or described over there. Okay, it all depends on how flexible it is used to understand the data. Okay, and why a relational database management system is the one which is most commonly used is the data is more flexible to understand when you store the data by using the relational database management system. This means basically the data will be structured or format will be in the format of a tabular format. Tabular format. Okay, means basically what tabular format consists of? Rows and columns. Okay, so tabular format, rows and columns. So why this is more flexible to understand the data like this means, so from the time when we started learning anything about related to the data in the computers, or else generally in a school days or else in college days, if you talk about a data over there, generally you will see the data in the tabular format over there. So where you will have the column names, and next you will have in the records you will have the data. So let's say for example the student names and student ID and which course they are studying and what are the marks they got. Like this, all the details related to the students you will see it in the tabular format. Okay, so that is why it is more flexible to understand the data for us when you use the relational database management system. Okay, means how the data is structured over here is in the tabular format, means you will have the rows and the columns over here. So for example, let's say there is a table called as students. Okay, and in this I have a column called as SID and another column called as student name, and next another column, let's say call it as age. Okay, so like this a particular table I'll have, in which format the data will be in the tabular format. So now student ID 1, and let's say the name, student name, for example, let's say take it as Tom, and age of 24. Let's say there is one more person, 2, John, he is having a age as 26, and let's say one more person, 3, Harry, let's say is having an age as 25. Okay, so like this, a simple example I'm showing over here, where now what you see over here, so there is a table called as students, and in the students we have the student IDs and the student names and also the age of the students. Okay, so this is one particular table, and in a table you can insert as many records as you can, guys. Okay, so there is no such limit that you need to insert only 2 records or 3 records, like that there is no limit. But why the RDBMS is used is, you need to understand here that the data will be structured in the tabular format. Means you will have rows, or we will also call them as records, or we can also call them as tuples. So rows or records, I hope everyone, in basic terminology we used to call them as rows or records in general scenarios in any other data or any other cases. So what is meant by this tuples here is, so don't interlink it with the another languages over there. So in SQL, why we'll call a record as a tuple is, as one particular record can withhold a different data type data. So for example, if you see the data here in the students table, a record is consisting of student ID 1. What is meant by 1? It's a numerical data. So it's an integer data type. Next we have another column called as student name. So where we have the names. What is names? So this is not a numerical data for us. This is a character data. Okay. So 1 is a integer data, and student name is a Tom is a character data. Again, as to age is a numerical data. Means a single record, if you observe here, it can hold multiple data types data. So that is the reason why we are also having a name as tuples for that. So apart from that, there is no too much elaboration for this. That is the only meaning for what we call them as tuples here. But mostly in general cases, we'll call a particular row as a rows or records for us. Okay, and in the rows or record format you will have the data here, and these are called as the columns or attributes of an entity called as students. Okay, so of an students is a table in which I have the columns as student ID, student name and age, and within this I have certain records over here. So this is the format in which you look into the data, guys, and this is wide rangely you will see these format itself the data. Okay, so even if you are looking it in the SQL, or if let's say for example if you see the data in Excel, in which format you will see the data? Tabular format itself. You will have the rows and the columns. Okay, so like this the data is structured, and if I don't say, so this is what it is about students, or if I directly show the data for you, you can easily understand. Okay, so this is the data talking about the students, and we have the student IDs and the student names and the age of that particular student. Okay, yeah, so this is about the data over here. And also there is also one more explanation for why we'll call it as relation here. Means, let's say for example we have the students itself. Okay, so we have students table over here, and within this student ID, next student name and age we have. Okay, so along with this I want to insert a few additional details. Okay, let's say some additional details if I want to insert, like course, and next fee and duration. Okay, if I try to keep a data like this in a table, age, course, fee. So now student ID 1, let's say Tom, age of 24, and a course has SQL and a fee of $60 and a duration of 4 weeks. A simple example I am giving. Okay, so now let's say one more record, student name and age of 26, and a course has SQL and a fee of $60 and also a duration of 4 weeks. Like that, how many people, how many students data I'm inserting, for every other student I'll insert the same data. Okay, I'll insert the student ID, then their name, their age, and course what they are studying, and what is the fee for that particular course, and what is the duration of that course. This is the actual data what I'll insert for each and every student. Let's say out of the data what I'm inserting, for example, I inserted 1500 records. Okay, so 1500 records I inserted, out of which 950, for example, let's say 950 or else 1020 records are the records who are having the same course. Okay, let's say 1020 students are enrolling for the same course. For example, they are enrolled for the SQL itself. So then for 1020 people, student ID will be different, obviously, right? IDs will be different for us. Next, student name will have the name accordingly to the student, and the age also accordingly to the student will have. But when it comes to the course, okay, so 1020 records will have the same course, will have the same fee. Okay, so we have the same course, same fee, and also the same duration also. So what happens over here, 3 columns. Okay, so 3 columns data is repeating for 1020 people. Okay, so if you think about this in the another different industries where lakhs of records are getting inserted. Okay, so at that point, again, if I insert the data like this, and for each and every record I repeat the data same. Okay, but here I don't want to keep like this. Okay, I don't want to store the data like this, and I don't want to waste the memory. So instead of this, simply what I'll do, I'll create different tables, which are like one table as students and another table as course. Now in the students, I'll keep the columns as SID, SName, age, course ID. Okay, next in the course, I'll keep course ID, course name, next fee, duration. Okay, so like this, when I create the tables, so I'll keep the course ID as 100, and next course name as SQL, and the fee is of $60 and a duration of 4 weeks. Okay, next one more record I can insert, which is like course ID 101, and a course name. I'll give some other course name which is like Python, and I'll give the fee as $250 and a duration of 4 months. So once after I insert a data like this in the course, now I'll start inserting the data into the students, which is like student ID 1 and a student name Tom and age of 24 and a course ID as 100, and one more record, John, age of 26 and course ID as 100 itself I'll give again, and next 3, Harry, 25, I'll give 101. So like this I'll insert the data here. Okay, now if you observe the data here, students table, we have a certain data which has been stored over here, and there is another table which is called as course. Okay, I'm not interlinking them now. Okay, so I'm properly structurizing this data separately, and what and all the which is related to the course, I'm keeping it within the course itself, and what and all the details are related to the students, I'm storing it into the students table itself. Okay, so if you talk about fee or duration, that is related to the course for us. Okay, so likewise I created 2 different tables over there, and now if I want to know what Tom is studying over there, I can go and check for 100 in the course table. Means basically I am not repeating the fee and duration for each and every student here. Okay, so simply I am creating 2 different tables over there, and now I can make a relation between these 2 tables. Okay, once after I make a relation, I can easily understand what this Tom is studying, or I can easily understand what this Harry is studying. Okay, so this is how we can structurize the tables clearly, guys. So that is also the reason why we'll call it as RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. Okay, so this is about a relational database management system, guys. Means generally what you need to understand finally. So the data in which format you will be structurized in the relational database management system in the tabular format. Means when you are fetching the data from the storage capacity over here, using the relational database management system, you will see the data in the tabular format, which consists of rows and columns. And also what and all the data I'm talking about over here, guys, every other data is a structured data itself. Okay, so by the name itself you can understand SQL means what? Structured query language. Means you will be dealing with only the structured data in SQL, guys. Okay, so this is about relational database management system. Now to deal with this data, or to understand the commands, or to write these commands over here, okay, so we'll be having a certain softwares. So generally with the a huge storage capacitor, if I want to interact over there, I'll use a software. Okay, so the software which my company is using, they'll provide me that software, okay, a client software, and I'll interact or connect to the server by using that client software. So now here for the learning purpose, we don't need to connect to any external servers, guys, because basically we are learning. Okay, we are in the learning stage. Okay, so here we don't need to connect to any external servers. So for learning purpose, we'll create a server within our laptop itself. Okay, so server in the sense a particular location where it will be specialized or designated for a server, and what and all I am doing within using this SQL over there, either I am inserting the tables or I am fetching the data from the tables, everything we'll do it within our laptop itself. For that, we need certain softwares or tools which are required to practice this language. Okay, so as a part of this particular explanation, what you need to understand is we are learning about the core set of SQL commands. It's not about the client software what you are using. What we are learning is a core set of SQL commands over there. Means in which language or in which format you need to write a command. so that I can create a table, or in which command, or in which format I need to write a command, so that I can insert the data, or if I want to fetch the data out from a table. Okay, let's say there is a certain data in the storage capacity where I want to fetch the data. Then what is the format in which I need to write the command? Okay, then only we can understand what is the data we have over here by writing the commands in a structured query language. Okay, so these particular commands will be learning, guys. It's not about the, I'm again clearly mentioning over here, it's not about the software what you are using over there, it's about the language or the commands in which we are writing. Okay, it doesn't bother about either you are using MySQL or Oracle or Microsoft SQL or PostgreSQL. It doesn't bother about it. So it only bothers about in which language you are writing. Okay, so a simple example, it's like even if you use a Samsung mobile, or even if you are using an Oppo mobile, or even if you are using a Vivo mobile or else a OnePlus mobiles. So at last finally, what is the operating system it has? Okay, what is the software it has? Android operating system it is. Okay, the same way here, no matter whatever the client software you use, you will be writing the commands in the structured query language itself. This particular software what we are using now is to understand this tabular format, or how we need to write the commands so that I can interact with the data in the server, means structured query language. And the software what you are using is MySQL, guys. Okay, so why we are using MySQL is the one which is been published by Oracle itself. Okay, so Oracle itself published it, but this is a completely free version tool which is for the learning purpose. So now we'll look into the tools what we need to install, and I'll give a complete clear guidance about how to install it. Okay, and how to open, and how to, once we install, then we'll write the commands, and we'll do what and all the commands we can execute in that. Okay, so for that, so everyone, people who and all are using Windows operating system, so first look into the guidance what I am giving now, so that we can understand how to install these tools which are required. So once after you open your browser here, okay, so open a browser and just type MySQL installer for Windows, and kindly do this search in Google, guys. Means use the search engine as Google. So don't do it in Yahoo or any other search engines. Kindly do this searching in the Google search engine. So once you search, see in the, what I am saying is, in the Google search you need to do this. So once you search for MySQL installer for Windows, then the first link here you can see download MySQL installer for Windows. This is, click on the first link. So click on the first link over here, and here once you come to the next page, once you click on this particular first link over there, there you can see now two options. So one is 2.1 MB and second one is 306 MB. So now out of these two, what we are required is, so we have our hard disk. Okay, what we are trying to do now is we are trying to create a server within our hard disk in our laptop itself, and we'll interact with that server and we'll write certain commands to interact. Okay, so for that, what and all we require, so I need a server and I need a client software to write those commands. Okay, so hard disk, the storage capacity we have. Okay, so only these two are required for us, and for that we just need to download just 2.1 MB one. No need of 306, we just need to download the 2.1 MB one. So now click on this first one, download. Okay, so once you click on this download over here, then in the next page, so here it is showing login and sign up. So we don't need to do this login also for this case. No need of any logging in or signing up. So logging in using Oracle. So see here you can see Oracle it is showing. So as I mentioned earlier, so this MySQL is the software which is published by Oracle itself. Okay, so no need of this login or sign up. So you can just, at the last you have an option called as no thanks, just start my download. Click on it. So once you click on that, then the installer will download, guys. So now you can see in my downloads, I have this installer which is downloaded. So now open that installer. Okay, so once you click on open that installer over here, then it will ask you to select an option. So what is the first options you will get is, do you want this app to do changes in your laptop or not? Okay, so do you want this app to do changes in your computer? So then kindly click on yes, guys. Why? We want to install. Okay, we want to install this MySQL in our laptop. So if you don't click on no at that point, so kindly click on yes. So once or twice you will get that option. Do you want this app to do changes in your computer? So then kindly click on yes. Once you click on yes for those two options, then this is the first page what you will get for the installer, guys, MySQL installer. So choose setup type. So now in the choose setup type over there, server only, client only, full and custom. So these are the four options what we have here, and what and all we are required is server and the client. These two are required for us, not just only server or not just only the client. So for that, not the full also, we'll click on custom first. So first we need to click on custom here and then click on next. Once we click on the next here, then in the select products, so here what it is showing over here, select products over here, and in that below available products means what and all the products which are available for the installation. So available products here, and here it is products to be installed, right? So now in the available products, first I'll expand the MySQL servers again, and I'll expand the MySQL server. So here expand the MySQL server 8.0. So once you expand till here, okay, once the expansion is done, so expansion means what? Click on this plus, guys. Okay, so you have this plus symbols, a shortcut, a small plus symbols you can see here. So click on those plus and expand it. Once it is done, you can see MySQL server 8.0, 8.0.39, 8.0.37, all this numbers. So what are all this means? These are all different versions, guys. Okay, so these are all different versions of MySQL servers over here. And what is the software or which version will download is, will download the version 8.0.39. Okay, so not the 8.0.40, we'll be installing 8.0.39. So how to install is, click on it. First I'll click on this. Once after the selection is done, then click on the right arrow. So where you can see the right arrow is in the middle of this particular page itself. So in the available products, you need to select MySQL server 8.0.39. After that, in the middle of the screen, you can see a green color right arrow. Once after the selection is done, so once after the selection is completed, click on this green arrow here. Then what happened? So this MySQL server 8.0.39 came to products to be installed, right? So now we selected this, so this is ready to be installed now. Okay, products to be installed, MySQL server. So along with the server, what also we want? We want a client software also. Okay, so we need a client software also to enter our commands here. So for that, first this minimize this MySQL server 8.0 in the available products. Okay, so here minimize this, then now expand the applications. Okay, so in the applications, we need to install a software which is called as an MySQL Workbench, guys. Okay, what is this MySQL Workbenches? This is the client software what we'll be using to enter our commands. Okay, so using this workbench, we'll connect to the server. Okay, and we'll write the commands, what and all the interaction you want to do with the server. Every other commands we'll write it in the MySQL Workbench and we'll pass it. Okay, so now once after I expand this MySQL Workbench, again I need to expand MySQL Workbench 8.0. Then once after the expansion is completed here, then for here also you need to select the 8.0.38 will do, guys. Okay, so we are not installing 8.0.40 for the server and not even for the workbench. Okay, so why means there is a certain server connection problem with this as of now. Okay, so that is why we are installing one version less. Okay, one lower version we are installing, which is 8.0.38 or 39. Okay, so for server we selected 8.0.38, and for the workbench we are selecting 8.0.3, sorry, yeah, 38 we are selecting for the workbench. You now select it, and what to do? Selection. So select it, and then in the middle of the screen you can see a green color right arrow. Click on it. Okay, so once it is done, now you can see what and all the products which are need to be installed over here. Products to be installed: MySQL Server 8.0.39, and next one is MySQL Workbench 8.0.38. These are the two products which we selected for the installation. Once after the selection, so make sure you have these two in the products to be installed, guys. So don't just go forward, don't just go to the next step only with server or only with the workbench. Make sure you select this server and also the workbench, and then go to the next process. Now next. Now once after you go to the next, most of the laptops, okay, almost 80% or all the new version laptops over there, every other laptop will come to the page what I am showing on my screen, which is MySQL Server 8.0.39, Workbench 8.0.38. These are for the download. Okay, only for few particular, not I'm not saying for all the laptops, only for a few specific laptops itself, it will ask you to download another software which is called as a C++ refurnishable, reusable, like that. You will get one step. So there you just need to click on execute there, and you need to install it by clicking or by accepting the terms and conditions, guys. Okay, select them and install it. Once after you install it, and you will also come to the same page. Okay, so you'll also come to the same page over here where you can download. So now I'll click on this execute. Right, so once after I click on the execute, what happened? The products which are starting to download for me now. See, now I downloaded it, one is getting downloaded, another one it gave an error. So anytime if you get any error like this case, go back and click on next again and execute again. What happened? Now if I get an error, I just went back and I came to the next again, it installed, means not installed, it got downloaded for me. Okay, no need to get tensed over here. Okay, just simple, just if you are getting an error, just simply go back and click on next again, and this particular server also, workbench, both will get downloaded. Once they are downloaded, now click on next. Once click on next over here, in the installation process over here, these two, server and workbench, are ready for the installation. Now you need to click on execute here. Click on execute, and both will start installing in your laptops. Yeah, so it will take a little time. Okay, so based on our laptop specifications, it will take a little time to install these two softwares over here. Once this installation is completed, then we can proceed further. Okay, but based on our laptop specifications, a certain time it will take over there for the installation, guys. So mostly at last at 99 it will come and it will stop for some time. Okay, and once it goes to the process, then it will be completed. So see, once it is completed, now we need to click on next. Okay, and then next. So next, now the process what and all we need to follow is all the default options, guys. So once after the installation is completed, then click on next till the authentication method. Okay, so till the authentication method, all the default options, no need to change any of the options over here, just the default options you can select over here. And at the point of authentication method over here, now you need to select the second option, which is use legacy authentication method. And why to use legacy authentication method is, we don't need any strong passwords for this case. Where we are installing the server in our laptop itself, right? So in our laptop itself we are installing the server, so no one will come and rob the data from us, and also we are not dealing with very huge data or any what is a confidential data. For the learning we are using this, right? So we don't need any strong passwords here, so just a normal password, which is second option you need to use to create a normal basic password. Use legacy authentication method. Once you select this, then click on next. Okay, so now once you come to the next page, so here accounts and roles. So here you need to create a password, guys. So what is this password is, the server what we are installing, for a basic security reasons, it will ask you to create a password. Okay, so and this password need to be very basic password. Why I am saying very basic is, we are not installing the server externally anywhere, within our laptop itself and for our learning purpose itself. And also this particular software, this particular password what you are creating, once after you install, to log in into your server you need to enter this password. Okay, so it's not just only for creation over here. Anytime in future when you are connecting to the server, this MySQL server which is in your laptop, you need to enter this password. So for that you need to create a very basic password, and also make sure you remember it. Why? Because if you are forgetting this particular password here, anywhere in the future if you forget, okay, let's say you forgot this password over here, and next you uninstall this MySQL Workbench and server in your laptop by going to the control panel, and I'll reinstall it. I can create the password means no. So if you are reinstalling it normally, it will ask for the same old password again. So that is the reason why I'm asking you, make sure you don't forget it. Okay, so there are certain steps which we need to follow to make it to create the password new again. But if you are not following that process, if you are simply uninstalling the softwares from the control panel or from your apps over there, and if you are reinstalling the Workbench again, it will ask for the same password again. So that is why don't forget the password. Any basic, create a very basic password and don't forget it. Okay, and once you enter the password here, so kindly do not bother about the password strength. Okay, as I am clearly mentioning that basic password is required, and when you are giving a basic password, kindly do not bother about the password strength here. So it will show weak, so either weak, medium or strong. Don't bother about that. Okay, so just enter the password, then click on next. So once you click on next, now all the further processes the default case. Okay, so next and execute. Okay, so once you click on execute, now everything will start installing or getting into your laptop. So once it is completed, then click on next. Now click on next, finish. So now once it is completed, so once the installation is completed, by default for the first time MySQL Workbench will open automatically. Then you can see on my screen here, welcome to MySQL Workbench, right? So welcome to MySQL Workbench, and below here MySQL connections. Now in the MySQL connections you can see local instance, right? In the local instance, click on it. So once you click on that, then here you need to enter the password, guys. So which password? So just 2 minutes back, what is the password we created? That particular password we need to enter here. Okay, enter the password and then click on OK. And here you also have an option called as save password to vault. Okay, so save password in vault. So basically what happens over here is, if you are selecting this option, anywhere in the future if you are logging into your server, MySQL server over here, it will not ask for the password again. So once you click on this local instance MySQL 80, it will automatically log in into your server. So next time, it's not like let's say if you feel like you might forget, okay, you might forget, then don't save it. Okay, so every time you can enter the password and you can log in into the server. But if you are giving a selection for this option save password in vault, then anytime in the future if you are selecting this local instance, it will automatically log in into your server. Okay, so now once after you enter the password, then click on OK. Okay, so once after I click on OK over here, so as you can see on my screen over here, this is the interface how MySQL Workbench looks. Means you have the number 1, so here the cursor where it is blinking over here, so here you need to write the commands, and on the right side you can see SQL additions, and below you can see action output, and here you can see management, so administration and schemas. So see, so this is the interface, so this is the interface how this particular workbench looks over here. And in this you don't need this SQL additions, guys. What and all we are required here is this file where I can enter the commands. Okay, so here the number 1 where it is showing, here we'll enter the commands, guys. Okay, here we need to enter the commands. Next, in the action output below, this is also required for us, where it will show either a command is executed successfully or not. So once you write a command, either that particular command is executed successfully or not, it will show it here. Next, here the management server status, this is not required for us. So schemas. Okay, so here you need to click on schemas over here in the middle of your screen. You can see administrations and schemas. Click on the schema, and here this is the schema. So basically schema is nothing but this is the place where what and all the databases you have in a server, it will show, guys. Okay, so this is the interface, guys. Now in this, as I mentioned earlier, this SQL additions we don't want. So for that, okay, on the right side complete top, okay, the right side complete top here, you can see 3 blue color boxes, right? So in those 3 blue color boxes, just only unselect the third box. Okay, if I unselect the third box, then that SQL additions is removed, right? Now here I'll write the commands, schemas. Here it will show what and all the databases I have. In the action output, it will show what and all the commands I have written, either they are executing successfully or not. So this is how the interface of MySQL Workbench looks, guys. Okay, so this is for the installation and execution, or the tool what it is required to install for the Windows. Next, now for the Mac. Okay, so as I have shown for the Windows over here, as I'm using the Windows, I can install and I can show it for you. For the Mac, there is no such additional things what you need to do, guys. The same, so you need to also install the same, the server and the workbench you need to install, but only the difference over here for the Mac is you need to install the server and the workbench separately. As for the Windows, they can able to do it in single stretch. Okay, in one particular installer itself they can able to do it, but for the Mac, only the difference is first server you need to install and then you need to install the workbench. Okay, so for that, this particular link, okay, you can look on my screen and you can type that particular link over here, and you can enter that link and you can open, or you can also basically search for MySQL installer or MySQL server for Mac. This particular link what I have opened over here for the installation of MySQL for the Mac, so this links will share it in the description, guys. Okay, even for the Windows also, what and all the installation I have done, those particular link also will share it in the description. You can directly go through the description and you can open this links. So for the Mac, you need to install the ARM, guys. So as most of the laptops or most of the Mac operating systems, you'll have a latest version, some certain version you have, but you can download this ARM, guys. Okay, you need to download. Okay, you need to download ARM 64-bit. So download this, which is of 584.7 MB. So it's not like Windows. So as we are using the Mac over here, you need to download or you need to install the server separately, only the server which is of 584, and this is not the one which you need to mainly check. You need to mainly check about ARM. Okay, so this is the one which you need to download. So once you download this here, after that follow the process over there, means the same what and all the steps we followed for the installation in the Windows over there. The same way, once after you download it, open the installer. Once after you open the installer, it will ask you, do you want to install it? So you click on install anyway and enter your laptop. So for the Mac, it will ask for your laptop password before you start installing. Okay, enter your laptop password and start installing, and everything all default options, guys. You don't need to change any of the options over there. All the default options. Only at the password creation you need to create a password, and next all the processes the default. Click on next, execute and everything, and install the server. Once the server is installed, then again the Workbench you need to install separately. So for that also I'll show the link over here. So this particular page you need to open, and this all the links which are required, everything will be shared in the description. You can click from there and you can open these links. Okay, now for the Workbench you need to download the ARM again. Okay, as we for the server what you downloaded the ARM, right? So same for the Workbench also you need to download the ARM itself. Okay, so download these two, and now for the Workbench download the ARM, and once you download it, all the default options here for the Workbench also default, no need to change any of the options over here. Means basically it will ask you to drag this Workbench to the applications. Okay, once you drag it, once it is completed, you can go to your applications. Okay, or else the apps, where the apps will be showing in the Mac, you can open it, and there you can find this MySQL Workbench. And once you find the MySQL Workbench, open that, and it's the same way how the Windows version they entered the password, the same way you need to also find over there MySQL in instance, local instance, and enter the password. Everything works the same. Okay, so this is how a Mac need to be done. So simple, not just too complex over here. Just for the Windows, everything is happening in only one single installer over there, but for the Mac separately. So MySQL installer you need to download separately, and MySQL Workbench you need to you need to download separately and install it. Okay, so this is how you can install this MySQL Workbench and the server in your laptops, guys. That's wrap for this chapter, guys. So let's meet in next episode for this SQL series.